We're going to shoot a video to show how we're going to load and band on the silicone tubing with both the blue silicone and the clear silicone. So the underneath silicone is going to be the blue tubing. I already pulled the blue tubing onto the cable, centering it according to the lights. Now I'm going to turn back the ends on the blue tubing to expose the underneath cable. So approximately 2 inches from the end of where the tubing was, we're going to apply some silicone tape. The silicone tape is going to help to make sure that the blue tubing sticks and adheres to the cable. I have a couple wraps around the cable with the silicone tubing. Now we can go ahead and turn our blue tubing back over the top. I can see it's approximately 2 inches from the end of our tubing here. So now I'm going to take the blue tubing and fold it over right where we did the silicone tape underneath. I'm going to take some electrical tape and tape down tightly. And I'm going to come all the way down to the end of the tubing here. And then once back. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other end. Now we're ready to apply our aircraft stainless steel wire to band this tight. We're going to use this along with our clamp tight tool. We're going to pull our wire out. We're going to cut approximately 2 feet of this wire material. We're going to follow the instructions for the double clamp wrap. We're going to start by folding this wire in half. And with the wire nut provided, twist the ends. So now, we're going to wrap this around. We created a U. We're going to start this band and go through. And go through again. With the second time around on the inside of the wires. And I'll start to just tighten these wires in a little bit closer. And I'll kind of just pull and then up so it holds this nice and tight. And we want this band placement to be approximately 2 inches from the end of the tubing. So now we can go ahead and remove the wire nut. We're going to take our clamping tool and wrap the wiring around these pegs, and then we're going to twist as tight as we can get it a couple times around. And now here at the front of the tool there's a little notch. We're going to get that right at that U section as we start to tighten down. And all I'm going to do is just thread this down. Once I get a couple turns, it starts to tighten up. I'll kind of adjust my wiring so everything stays nice and tight. And continue to tighten down. So I know this is fully tight. My tool is going to want to start to twist on me as I turn it. So I know I don't want to over tighten it, because then when I go to break this free, it could snap the wiring. So once I'm fully tight, I'm going to bend this up at a 90-degree angle I'm going to take my snips and snip this approximately about 1/4 of an inch. It'll kind of break this free. Do the same to the other side. And now I have 2 little prongs sticking out, and I'm just going to bend those back. Now that our first band's done, we're going to go ahead and cover that up with some electrical tape. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other end. Now we're ready to get the clear tubing pulled on, but before we do that, there is one step we have to do to manipulate the clear tubing. We're going to punch some holes and make some slits in this so we allow the underneath tubing to grow in that specific area. So this is going to help to allow it to open up in that area, which really makes sure that it's going to press out in 90-degree bends. So I already pre-made some marks here. So these marks that I made are approximately 1 inch wide by 1/2 inch. Just take a black marker, 1 inch by 1/2 inch apart, making a total of 6 dots on this silicone tubing. So now I'm going to take my leather punch tool on the second to the largest setting, and I'm going to push this down flat and start punching holes through both sides of the material. So now I have all my holes punched. Now I'm going to take a straight blade and connect these holes. So now I'm going to carefully cut, connecting these holes. And the reason we're doing this is the holes are there to prevent these slits from growing out and keep tearing down the length. So now you can see we have 6 separate slits going all the way around. So now we're going to go ahead and pull this clear tubing over the top of the blue tubing. So now we're going to go ahead and lubricate this with some soapy water. It's just going to make it slide on a lot easier. Spray a little soapy water on both ends here. And I'm going to take a piece of flat rope and string it through our clear tubing. It's just going to make it a lot easier to pull over the top of the blue silicone. So now we have a rope strung all the way through the clear tubing. So now we're ready to pull on the clear tubing. I attached it to the front of the cable here so we can pull it on over the top. To make this easier, we're going to use some soapy water to lubricate the blue. And we're also going to turn on our vacuum to suck this tubing down so it pulls on nice and easy. So, and as we pull this on, we're going to make sure that the clear tubing is flush with the blue tubing on both ends. So now our clear tubing is in place, and to secure this down, we'll go ahead and apply some electrical tape. And we're going to apply the clamp just to the outside of where the underneath clamp was at the 2-inch mark. So we're going to actually come back just a little bit on our tape, tape this down nice and tight. And now we'll do the same thing as we did with the blue tubing, following our double wrap clamp instructions. And now we can just go ahead and take our electrical tape and cover this up. And we're going to cover this band up and also tape all the way over the tubing onto the cable so we have a nice easy transition. And that's the process for clamping our blue and clear silicone tubing.